Hello all, welcome to my channel. I'm back with another video. Um, in this is part of the video series that we are doing on Iceberg. So in my last one of my last video, I had mentioned there are few updates on the Iceberg v3, and of that there were two interesting ones like addition of two new data types. One was variant, another was geodata type. So we have already seen a video where we I have discussed the geodata type like geography and geometry. And in this blog, we will see how we can leverage variant data type and how it helps us in creating more better solutions with different by using this variant data type. So let's get started. So variant data type is something that has been introduced in Iceberg v3. It represents nothing but a semi-structured data like JSON or something. We can think of this like a superset of JSON that we are trying to achieve. So what's the benefit of this variant data type? Like it will have a semi-structured, like it can have different attributes for a particular row. Like we can have, let's say, user info. In certain rows we will have address to, but for certain address we won't have address to field. We will have address field for all. So those kind of things where the schema is not fixed. So that this is where we will use a variant data type. It is something, as I mentioned, it is something similar to how a JSON will behave. But we can say that, okay, there was already in struct data type, why we need a variant. So the struct data type has a challenge that it requires a known schema and it does not support nesting after a certain level. And also a same field in each of the struct instance must have the same type. For example, let's say if we have an attribute, let's say X in row 1 where we have let's say mention its data type as string, so that data type also in it can't have a different data type in some different row. So that's where this difference is there, struct versus variant. uh, to use variant data types, what we need is we need a Apache Iceberg 1.10 or above, Iceberg version, format spec B3, and Spark 4 dot, because Spark has also support for variant data type, but it's only from 4.0 series, so that should be good. And the format version we have to specify explicitly to set it to 3. For example, we can say alter table, set table properties, and format is equal to 3. That we have to do. Let's see how we can create a table with variant column. So what we are doing is select. We are running a Spark SQL and saying, so I'm assuming everything is already set up for this Iceberg environment. So we are saying create table, ID, and user detail, which is a variant data type. Then and we are also setting the property as 3. So this user detail column is defined as a variant, which means it can store complex nested data. And see, one value that we are going to store is this is a JSON that we will be storing as a variant data type. For example, we have user, its name, um, age, hobbies, address, and status, and some tags. And then we create this data frame. So we are creating spark.create data frame, and then we gave the name as ID and user detail. And then for that user detail, we are just this is where it gets converted into variant data type. We are using parse JSON tool, so that function is what it is converting it into a variant data type. Once we have, we can write it to any table that we want as an variant data type itself. And we can query this variant data type like as we query any JSON object. The same something similar structure is followed in here, and the function is variant dot underscore get. So the syntax is variant underscore get. Then we provide the variant column name, JSON path, and the return type. So based on that, it will give us the response. So the variant column is our variant column name, and then JSON path is JSON path expression that we use, for example, dot user dot name or dot user dot hobbies dot the first index. So that way, this is the JSON path syntax that we have to give, and the return type. Return type is not the means what we are expecting the return as that should be string, double, boolean, whatever we want to decide that we can give. So for example, let's say we are here in this case, what we are doing is we are getting the different values. For example, we are getting username, user age, user address, and user status as from the table, and then we are showing it. We can run advanced query as well. We can do, for example, user details. Then we are doing array indexing and stuff like that. So we are calculating the first hobby, and then for tag, we are taking the second tag and then showing it. or we can also check whether the certain field is there or not. So we can say user details dot user mail, we are expecting a time, and then we can say whether it is not null and where it is null. So then if it is not null, then we only get this, else we get we say missing email. So we can do what you call some conditional checks as well with this. We can also run joins on this. So we just have to just calculate what field we are trying to join on, get that field, and then do the join. So basically we have two CTs defined in here and we are joining in here, but in the CT itself we are just converting that address and name, and then here also we are converting the user ID, product, price, and then joining based on the user ID field. So we here see we are joining on the user ID field, and that is getting calculated from this JSON itself. So yeah, we can do the joins as well. And benefits of using this variant data type is that one is schema flexibility, as I mentioned, because we are storing different rows, and each row can have the schema can vary row by row. So for example, one row we will have user and profile and name Bob, other while we will have type event and timestamp and everything. So in the same table, we can have same column, we can have two different schemas. So that is one. So it gives us schema flexibility. It is type set because variant.get expects a function type, means the object type to be provided, so that stores the that increases the type safety. Then we have storage efficiency because variant uses an efficient binary format internally to store these objects, so that reduces the storage overhead compared to storing JSON. Threading is a concept that it helps in running even faster queries on JSON. So what variant threading is, it is a process of extracting field from variant type column into separate fields. And these are stored independently as a distinct column. It helps with file pruning and optimized storage. So that's threading is another benefit that we get out of it. At Trino's JSON data type is mapped to Iceberg's variant type. So that is something. So each engine will have different mapping. So that is one thing to note. Like for example, I think Databricks' Delta uses map that will be mapped to variant data type in Iceberg. Certain best practices, we should always provide use appropriate data type, like very while we are saying variant.get, we should provide the data type of the field that we are expecting. We can do we can provide query patterns should be designed based on the index, I mean common path that we have, like the patterns that we have, or the partitioning of that can be based on that uh, path on which we are querying. We can validate, means we should validate the JSON data, like parse JSON function we can call and see whether the JSON that we are passing is a valid variant or not. And also we can monitor the stats, and if possible, we can store those stats in the table stats column of the metadata of the Iceberg table to do the skipping and other stuff. Common use cases, for example, we can store diverse event types. For example, event type can be purchase, and other event type can be of, let's say, return. Those types of events that are happening, we can store in the same column. Or let's say if we have lots of resources or assets that we have, for each asset we can have a configuration, and because each asset belongs to a different type, let's say laptop, Mac versus Windows. So Mac will have certain different configuration, Windows will have certain different configuration. And let's say we want to store the configuration for all the employees. So earlier we will have to create so many columns which may be null for some, not null for others. But if we are using variant data type, we can store one JSON for each of that configuration that we have. So these are some use cases where we can use the variant data type. Also, the variant data type in Iceberg has as one other advantage that we have already talked is schema evaluation. So we can do create if we combine it with the default value, then even further we can optimize it to have better control on schema. So yeah, this was it for the variant data type. If you like this video, do share and spread the word. Uh, that's all for this video. Have a nice day.